Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In today's video, it's going to be the part 2 to our knocking on the Astra. Obviously I know it's been a while since I've done part 1, I am aware of that, just obviously the things have kind of come up and I've been debating because we've worked out what the issue is, so I've been debating kind of the process that I want to do to fix it. So the issue itself is, let's see if I can get in there so that you can see. Come on. Basically the bush just there. Let's grab my phone from just behind us. And that bush just there at the back of the subframe that you can see is kind of covered in like a paste. It is basically, it has degraded, I suppose is a word. It's no longer really working, and that's actually what's causing the knock. The bush is basically just it has no stiffness to it anymore. And we found this out by actually using the garage next doors. They have a 4-post like kind of drive-on lift with a shake plate, and we just put it on there just to kind of see if we could work out what it was, because obviously no matter what we tried we couldn't replicate it when it wasn't driving. So got it up on obviously on the lift, but still under its own weight, which is the main thing that we've worked out we needed. And as soon as I kind of started steering, obviously it would knock and you could see this bush moving. Well, I believe that's what I've been told. I was actually in the car moving the steering wheel, so I didn't actually get it, which is why it hasn't been filmed either. They checked the other one, it's fine. It is just that bush that seems to have pretty much died. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be replacing that bush, but we're also going to replace the other back side. So we're going to replace both the back ones just to kind of keep it even. And these are the ones that we're going to use. These are actually the ones that should be in this car. These are the VXR ones, so they're green. Don't get why they're green, but that's how you tell them. And we could have bought these new. Well, I could have bought these new, sorry, not we. But my uncle actually had these from when he had the car, and he obviously fitted a different subframe because I believe the other one was bent from the accident it had. And he just never put them ones in. He just left the bushes that were in from this subframe, which isn't an issue. I think they must stiffen it up a little bit, but I don't know how much. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be popping in the 2 VXR ones in the back. Yes, some people might say, oh, you need to do all 4 or whatever, but for the sake of what it's going to do, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, so to speak. Yes, it's going to make the drive a bit stiffer, which I don't know whether I'm going to like or not. But it's going to get rid of the knocking, which is obviously the main thing, because it has been driving me insane. It seems to just go through phases. So I went through probably a month and a half where it didn't knock at all. And then one day it just started again, non-stop, constantly knocking. We are going to replace this bush, well, both of the rear bushes in the subframe. The reason it took me so long is because I was debating whether to take the full subframe off and powder coat it. But it doesn't particularly need powder coating. It was just an option if we were going to drop the frame anyway, was it worth powder coating? So if I let me spin you guys round. There we go. So obviously it has a couple of rust spots which are fine. Yes, there's a bit under there, above the exhaust there. So this was all the question of, do I just take the whole thing off? It is all damp at the moment because it's still an issue for obviously from the power steering, which yes, we are working on that. But because I've kind of been, my hand's been forced, let's just say, by this issue. Obviously the car's been taken off the road sooner than what I thought it would. So therefore, it just kind of made sense to just do it all in one whilst it's off, and then it doesn't mean I have to take the car off the road again to get the subframe painted. Nothing like that. Don't need to worry. It's just a case of it's up. The subframe is, as I say, it just has a bit of surface rust on. There's no issues with it. It was just to make it look a bit nicer that I knew that it would be painted. Nobody else would actually notice it at all. But yeah, so plan of action is to obviously take off the exhaust brace and then these two little arms that go on either side, and then that should let us get these bushes out without an issue. We believe this one, the one that's causing us the issue, is just going to drop out, potentially, because of how bad it is. It sounds as though, like, if I show you, like, the insert, it sounds as though that's not actually attached anymore, and that's what's causing the rattling. So we'll get them obviously taken off. We'll get it videoed for you guys. I'm just going to set you up on the tripod, which obviously I've got behind me. And yeah, we'll get that taken off. We'll pull them out. And then what we should be able to do, which, and I do need to check my uncle on this. That's who I'm referring to when I say we, is my uncle helps me a lot. Whether it's like telling me how to do things, anything like that. Most of the stuff that I've learned here, or any time working on a car, is from him. So he believes that we should just be able to get a slightly longer bolt than what's actually in it, and just basically screw it so that it pulls itself in, and then obviously once it's in, we'll put the original one back in and properly seat it correctly. Right, okay, so we've got you obviously set up on the tripod now. I do apologise about obviously the line that you can kind of see going up and down the screen. It is obviously off the light that I'm using. It is a very bright LED, which I imagine my camera's not coping too well with looking at, but it's still a light so that I can actually see what I'm doing. So obviously on this, just so that you know, I have a 21mm socket. There we go, and it's just on a breaker bar that I use to remove my wheels usually. It just gives me that extra bit of leverage that we need. So I've always done that. Obviously, it still needs a lot of work. But now that I've done that, you see if I can get the other two. So if we pop that down, obviously on the camera, I'm going to have to undo these two as well here. I don't think you can quite see, but it's because it obviously holds this plate in place. I've only got a little one for this. And just in case you want to do this one here, the one on the outside is a 15mm, and the one on the inside is a 13. So what I'm hoping I might be able to do is just remove this one here, the big one, and the 13, and I'm hoping I can just move the plate round rather than take the whole plate off and the kind of the exhaust brace. Obviously I've only done the 15 one, but that should hopefully just hold it so I can pivot it. Yeah, I can already see the bush. If I grab the camera. And if we can get in close. Let's try the other angle. So you can see there, which obviously isn't great. So let's get you set back up on the tripod. So yeah, so this is obviously definitely the issue here, because that should not be loose. My uncle did say he thought it would just fall straight out, which definitely seems as though it's going to be the case. Okay, so obviously there's the bolt out for the subframe. Right, let's get a pry bar in there and see whether we can pop that out now. Alright, okay, so I've managed to get it out a little bit by putting the pry bar above it and basically pushing it out, and now I'm just using these pliers type things just to and yeah, sort of zoom out a little bit. Alright. Come on. Yeah, the whole thing's kind of just shot looking at it. It's definitely seen better days. So obviously, this is the one that we've just taken out. So you can see it is in bits. All the white stuff is the like a lubricant that I've put on it to hopefully try and stop it squeaking when I was driving it. But I mean, whereas obviously this is the new one. It looks so much better. Obviously it's not all squashed around the outside. And although the inside doesn't look too bad, this one still looks a bit like better around the edges. Let's see if I can get the point on the edge here. So there, obviously the edges kind of come away from the actual main bit. So yeah, so we'll get these fitted. We'll get this one fitted, and then obviously we'll jump onto the other side. But it definitely wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. But I imagine because the other side's working and is alright, it could cause us a little bit more of a challenge. But let's get this one popped back in and then put back together, and then we'll work on the other side. So I've gotten the bush in eventually. Let's see if I can get the light up on it. It's not the best light if I'm being honest, but the VXR bush is now in on both sides. There we go. Yeah, so it's in on both sides. So obviously I'm just going to put the car back together because obviously we have removed the different exhaust braces here, which need to be refitted. Yeah, we'll get it put back together, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit more about getting this fitted, because it was not the easiest task to do, especially with it being above you and not having the subframe dropped. So I'll get everything put back together, and then I'll kind of just have a bit of a chat with you guys. Right, everything's now tightened up and back in place. We've got obviously the two L-shaped brackets, and then the actual exhaust bracket slash hanger, I suppose. So they're back in place now, so the car's back together and that for that job anyway. So yeah, to summarise, it was not the best job to do. I probably wouldn't recommend doing it because of the issues that obviously we ran into of when we put it in originally. We could get it so far in by pulling it in with kind of the screw and the washer with an impact gun, but then it would just kind of stop. And we couldn't actually work out how to get it in a bit further. But it seemed as though it needed kind of something just to hold the subframe slightly off the actual frame. So my uncle just cut a bit of pipe, which as you can see, it's not very thick at all, which just kind of sat on, let's just grab the torch, which just basically sat right on the top of kind of where the bush and the subframe are. It just sat there, and then when he'd impacted it, it then kind of pulled the bush into the hole, basically. So it was a bit of a pain to get done, but I'm glad it's done. I can't wait to actually test drive it because I really hope that was the knocking. If it wasn't, that's a lot of time wasted for nothing, really. So I just wanted to film a little bit of me obviously driving the car after we replaced the bush. I've been driving it now for a little while with the new bushes in, and fortunately it still does knock, and in some aspects it's a little bit worse. So we're going to have to kind of go back to the drawing board, look at it again, see what else we can find, and basically go from there. Obviously I really did hope that the bush would fix it, but it hasn't. So we're going to have another look obviously on that side and see whether we can find anything obvious. It obviously at the moment isn't knocking, but usually as soon as I drive it, it starts to knock and rattle and creak and everything else. So yeah, so unfortunately it hasn't fixed it, but it just means that we will go back to the drawing board, find something else. It's not a big issue, I suppose. But I think that's it for the video then, guys. And I just want to say thanks for watching. If this is your first time on the channel, please go check out the other videos that I've posted. And yeah, please don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think it could be. Obviously now we've looked at the low control arm, we've replaced the bushes, and it's still knocking. I did just see recently a comment regarding the gearbox oil that has actually been replaced. It's not that kind of noise, that was more of the whining noise. This is like an actual knock, which I believe I have a little clip of me just parked up with the car, and I'll put that in. Where I turn the steering wheel and it just knocks and you can hear it really bad, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with most of the time. So as I say, on to the next part. There's nothing else we can really do at this point apart from have a bit more of an investigation. Bye bye.